everybody. My name's Caesar.
And I'm Martha.
Welcome back to the 8th episode of In a Wider Screen, where
two idiots who know nothing about movies talk about movies. So today's episode, we are talking about Lady Bird. No. Spoilers ahead. I remember.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I read it right now, otherwise I would not have.
Yes, we always have spoilers in our outline, but we always fail to mention it.
Always fail.
Though I figure you wouldn't be watching an episode about a movie that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
But it happens, and that's, I feel, our responsibility as our show to...
As artists.
As autists.
As autists.
To say that. So
yes.
There's a spoiler warning ahead. Yeah. But when is the first time actually that you saw Lady Bird? Because I saw it around when it came out, and I thought it was pretty good at the time.
I saw it when it first came out too. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it at home with my parents, which was the perfect people to watch it with.
Oh yeah.
Because and I'll go way into this later on about how it just like that was me and that was my mom and that was kind of my dad. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think when watching it, I laughed a little too much because I related to it a little too much. And me and my mom just the whole time were like, huh, that's funny because we did that.
Like you would both look up at the screen as something that happened. You were both like...
Exactly. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I really liked the movie when I first saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it came out my senior year.
Yes.
And the story was about her senior year. So, like, overall, it was always... It just really aligned.
It really clicked.
Yeah, it really clicked with me. So, I really enjoyed it. I think that was a big part of why I enjoyed it so much. And Saoirse Ronan...
Oh, yeah, she's great.
I love her.
It's a great cast.
I love her name.
Everything.
Just love her so much.
I know. So this is written and directed by Greta Gerwig. This is actually her solo directorial debut. She had directed a movie before with somebody else. I don't know their name. And then after this, she directed Little Women, which is another great one. Like this is starring who?
Saoirse Ronan.
Thank you. Laurie Metcalf, Tracy Letts, Lucas Hedges, Timothy Chalamet, Beanie Feldstein, Stephen McKinley Henderson, and Lois Smith. Released, like you said, senior year for us, November 3rd, 2017. Budget?
You know, you always ask me this, but you know I'm never going to get it.
I know. You're already speaking in an accent.
Oh, damn it. Okay. I don't mean to talk in an Irish accent. It just happens. And if I happen to say the word Saoirse Ronan, all of a sudden I start talking in an Irish accent and I don't mean to do it. It just happens. Anyway.
It's the first and last Saoirse Ronan movie we're going to talk about on this show, by the way.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Yes. No, I know you have no idea what it is, which is why I still like asking you.
$300.
10 million, which is actually close. A little higher than I would have thought. And it made how much back, you think?
$400?
It grossed about $79 million worldwide, so definitely a profit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this has actually got a lot of Academy Awards recognition the year it came out. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director for Greta Gerwig, Best Screenplay for Greta Gerwig, Original, Best Actress for...
Saoirse Ronan.
Okay. And Best Supporting Actress for Laurie Metcalf at the 90th Oscars. It did not win any of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I specifically, honestly, I think the only one I remember this actually having a legit chance to win was Supporting Actress. Because it went to Allison Janney for I, Tonya that year.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
I remember that.
I get it. It's the more transformative role.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not going to say she didn't deserve it, but watching this, I was like... I really wish she would have won it.
Yeah, that would have been really
That would have been good. Before we go into this, I do have one more question for you. So, Lady Bird's real name is Christine, and she gives herself the name Lady Bird, as we know. What would you name yourself?
Well, I have my real name, which is Martha. Ew. I have a nickname that all of my family calls me by.
No. What name are you going to give yourself?
Lady Bird?
You can't steal a name.
I'm not creative enough for this.
What name, just, it doesn't have to be creative, but just what feels right.
What feels right? Can I steal my friend's nickname?
What's their nickname?
Nico.
If it feels right, sure.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Brianna. I'm stealing your nickname now because I kind of really like it. That'll be my stage name when I'm famous for
doing what?
For just being famous.
Just so like a TikToker, basically.
Oh God, no. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna get there.
You're gonna
just you wait.
You don't want to do those dances that they do? You don't want to be in a hype house or something?
I think I'd rather die, but thank you.
I mean, they are getting their own Netflix show.
Oh my God, why? That sounds awful. Who would watch that?
Lots of 12-year-olds, I imagine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, business-wise, I mean, I get it, and if they want to do that, sure.
A Real Housewife. That's my goal now. That's what I will do.
You realize the word wife is in there somehow. You'd have to get married first.
I can make it happen.
You sure?
Yep. The richer, the better. Yeah, I can do it.
What kind of charms are you going to use to get there? Because I don't really see where those charms are going to come from.
Finger guns. Pew, pew, pew. Like that.
I'm sure for a lot of people out there, it's very irresistible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So if you're watching, there you go.
And if you're watching and you're rich, hit me up.
Hit her up. There you go. So the first thing I wanted to touch on with this viewing is Greta Gerwig, because I mean, obviously, writer director, her creative vision is all over this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know for her, this was like an autobiographical thing in some ways. Like she lived in Sacramento, she went to a Catholic high school, but the character is not her.
Yeah,
I think it's a separate character. But I just liked how, it's not like flashy directing or anything like that, but it just feels human.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's one of my favorite parts about it is that it feels so real. It feels lived. Like it's not some Hollywood movie. It's
no, it didn't feel like that.
It's like watching like a real life story being told, which is a lot different than you would normally see. Especially
for a high school movie, which they all have their cliches and like first world teenage problems. And which not to say there's not teenage angst going on here too, but
there is, but it's accurate portrayal of the teenage.
It's like real teenage angst that's happening here.
Yeah, that like is believable. Everything there is believable.
Like you can't tell me as a teenager in high school you didn't go through any.
Oh, going through
at least something. Yeah,
teenager in high school and thinking you're the main character.
You're the main character of your own story all the time.
Yes, and I think that's like such a big plot point there with the movie is that like she really believes like I am the main character of this movie, and she is.
Yeah,
ironically she is, but like also I feel like she has to learn throughout the movie like, okay, maybe I'm not entirely.
There's more going on in the world than just you and your problems.
I really liked that little aspect that she added in the movie, which it's all about Lady Bird and it centers around her, but in the background you just see glimpses of like everyone else and what they're going through,
like their actual problems
in life. She has no part in it. She just exists.
She's completely separate from it.
Yeah, she's completely separate from it, which I think is really what again adds to that touch of it being real. Like it's like a real story being told like with real people.
And I think it gives her by the end, especially perspective.
Yes, that it's not always about me. I shouldn't be so selfish.
Which, to be fair, it's like, I mean, in the movie, you kind of feel selfish, but also it's like we all have that point in our life. Like it's not I wouldn't call her a selfish person.
No, she's a teenager. She's naive. She doesn't 100% understand everything that goes on in the world, and that's okay because when you're a teenager, you don't know everything.
You don't know. No.
Yeah, I'm an adult now, which I hate. I don't know anything.
I honestly feel like I might know less now than I did when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, I think I've learned less, which doesn't make sense.
I've unlearned.
I've unlearned things. So, you just get dumber as you go on.
Really? I mean, speak for yourself there, but not kidding. But I think especially too that leads to I think what the heart of this movie is this relationship with her mom.
Yes.
Even the first time when I saw it, I'll say now I like this more the second time than I watched the first time. But even the first time I saw it, the strongest part for me was the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think everyone with their mom has a similar. Even if your relationship's not like theirs, there's similar things.
There's definitely. Yeah, mine was.
And it's clear. I think they wanted this to be the heart of the movie because even from really right from the beginning, it's about them. Like you're in that car scene, and then it's like, I think what I liked about them is like you could tell they have things in common that they bond over, like them crying to that audiobook in the car.
Who listens to the Grapes of Wrath for fun?
They were on the road for a long time.
Well, I guess it was 2003, so it was a very different time.
Yes, that's something else to mention too. This was set in 2002.
2003, yeah. So that makes sense.
I mean, that's all they didn't have, Apple Music and
Spotify. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a Spotify listener too right now.
Okay,
we'll see. Yeah. But then they start arguing, and then
the most dramatic moment,
most unexpectedly dramatic and funny moment to start the movie off.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I know for sure there have been moments where I was like, I've wanted to do the same thing, but I had enough self-control to be like, no, I shouldn't do that. Yeah. I want to just like really stick it to them, to my parents, and be like, I'm upset. I'm gonna throw myself out of the car.
Show you how upset I am right now.
But I don't do that because, again, self-control.
Right.
But yeah, that is very dramatic, and I loved it. I loved that as an opening. From like crying together and just being like, oh, like so sweet, and then I hate you. I'm gonna kill myself.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's just a really nice way to open.
I think. Obviously not always that dramatic, but I think a lot of mother-child, it's not even just, I think obviously mother-daughter is probably a little closer there, but I think even mother-son relationships are the same, where it's like, obviously you're going to have disagreements, you're going to have misunderstandings, and you might look at your mom and she's intense or angry but at the end of the day, like, you can tell that she's a good mom and she loves her. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and we'll talk more about like individual characters, especially the mom later on. But yeah, so I think it's a great moment to start off the movie.
Yeah.
And then as the movie continues on, we kind of get a little bit more into who Lady Bird is as a character. We see her at school, and she's like campaigning for school president. Oh yeah, which fun little story.
Those little posters.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's time for Martha's Daily Story. So I too had my face photoshopped onto birds.
When was this?
Not for a campain.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into a certain campaign that we always reference.
No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
No, jerk. Me and Brianna, my friend, we were watching a movie. It was a really stupid movie, and they would call each other Pidge, like short for pigeon.
What do I feel like I've heard that before?
Probably because we reference it a lot because it's so stupid.
Okay.
Or we used to. And then there was like a part where they started photoshopping pictures of like pigeon heads onto the bodies of the girls that they were like trying to like bully or something.
Oh, that's deep.
And that same, well, like, it was a really stupid joke. Like, it was a stupid thing, but Brianna was like, this is funny. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start photoshopping pictures of my face onto birds and birds' bodies or body.
So your head on a human? No. Your head on a bird body.
No, backwards.
Bird head on your body.
On my body.
Do you have a picture of this?
I think I do. We'll probably
love to see
put it in post.
That'd be great.
And well, because she made a bunch of them, and then she started sending them out to like everyone that she knew, and then was like, "Here's her number. Send this to her." And so I was just getting a bunch of random messages from people. Just
influx of messages.
A bunch of people that I didn't know, like a bunch of numbers I didn't know, and they were all just sending me pictures of me with a bird photoshopped onto my body.
And how did that make you feel getting all that?
I honestly loved it.
You're like, I kind of like this attention now.
I was like, wow, this is awesome. No, it was really funny. But I saw this and I noticed it in the movie, watching it the second time, and I was like, hey, I did that too. And it was just another moment that was like, wow, this movie's so relatable.
Why do I feel like that was your biggest connection with that character? Was the biggest
connection was getting photoshopped onto birds.
That's wonderful. That's great.
So that's another fun little story.
So that's what's just going to justify your rating at the end of this.
Absolutely. That really just pushed it over the edge.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. So, but no, continuing on with that, like, you do learn a lot more about her. Like, she's like, oh, it's a tradition for me to run for class president. I don't actually ever win. And like, so she expects that. And then she's like, why don't you join like theater? And she's like, I'd rather join like a math club. And she's like, but you're not good at math. And she's like, that we know of. So she like, in a way, sets herself up for failure, but like not in a way that's like, I don't even know how I would like describe that. She just like, it says a lot about her that she's like, I'm going to try new things that I know I'm going to be bad at because I want to. Because I'm a free spirit and I can do.
She just wants to try things, like to experience things, even if like the risk of her failing is high.
Yeah.
At least she can say
she's a very confident person, yet someone who's very insecure.
At the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she has this really good mix of both insecurities and just such confidence.
Yeah.
So I think just like from that one scene, you really get to see like a lot more about who she is as a person.
That's very true.
Yeah. So that's a little bit more about her. But yeah, so there's that.
Was gonna say too about the mom and daughter thing, that also another scene I love with them were the thrift store.
Okay.
And I think you told me when you saw this that it was like pretty identical to
like the exact same thing happens. Me and my mom love clothes. We love shopping together, but we hate shopping together because it's like we'll fight the entire time. Like it's like we're just constantly fighting. Then in seconds we can be like, oh my god, this is so cute, right? And we'll just start gushing over this, like how much we love these clothes, and then immediately go back to fighting. And it's so funny how we can just like switch that quickly. So when we saw it, we could not stop laughing because it was like that was literally us yesterday. So like so
oh yeah,
it was that
just
was
great moments like that. It just makes it all feel much more genuine because I would imagine, I haven't seen this with my parents, but I feel like how you watched it would probably you probably get a lot out of it watching it with them.
It's so even with my dad, he is kind of similar. He's pretty similar, that he's to the dad where he's just very warm and kind-hearted and he's the good guy. He never is the one that disciplines. So like that's
and
my dad.
And your mom
too.
just looks like the bad guy because she's the one that's gonna say
discipline
things and discipline you. And
so like there's that. So it really does mirror like my family a lot. I have a brother, but I don't think my brothers are very much like her brother though. I have two brothers. I didn't forget one of them. Good. I have two brothers and neither of them are like Miguel, I think was his name.
Miguel and Shelly.
And their girlfriend, which were, I think, interesting characters too.
I liked them.
I liked them. I think they were fun. They were a fun little thing to add
to have in there.
Yeah. Like from like the breakfast scene where they're eating together and like it's just complete chaos and she's like, your sister doesn't like me, and then just like
and then it's just the dad just like
and the dad just does not care. I love that. I love that the dad is just like I just want to play games. I actually wrote in a quote from him who was like, I'm just happy to be anywhere.
Right.
I think that's such a dad
thing to say, right? I think
it's so perfect there.
No, but like you were saying earlier, obviously Lady Bird, she's the star of the movie here, and Saoirse Ronan and all that, but like literally something I didn't realize till watching this time was like even every little character that at first you kind of just see as like, oh, they're just there for whatever. It's like they all have their own purpose and little problem or situation that they're
own main characters
in their own movies.
Stories. Yeah, exactly. They're all main characters. They're all just it just happened to be
from Lady Bird's perspective.
Yeah.
But like they could all have their own movie too.
Thing. Yeah, like there's a lot of things that each of the
I think there's so many people you could run through first, like Lucas Hedges.
Yes.
Like, did not see that character arc coming at all.
You didn't?
Well...
Oh, wait, was that sarcasm?
I did not expect him to be gay at all when I saw it the first time.
Okay, well, we needed to work on your gay arc, dude.
Yeah.
Come on, all the signs were there.
Okay, but also, too, did you expect her to find out the way she did?
No.
I think maybe for me I think it was just kind of like a double wham of a surprise.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't expect him to cheat on her, and I didn't expect him to be gay at the same time. I feel like it was just two surprises in one.
Yeah, I expected him to be gay, but I didn't expect her to find out like that. I didn't think about like how she would find out, and that's a hard way to find out.
Yeah.
But like what you said.
And then I just like how she takes it, like she just lays out with her friend and they listen.
I know, because it was both of their boyfriends, right? Both of their boyfriends ended up being gay.
I didn't know the other girl had a boyfriend.
I think they were dating, because they were both like sobbing in the car singing to the songs. So it looked like that was also her boyfriend, because they were the ones that like they were hanging out together as a group.
I don't remember, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure they were dating, so that's funny. It's like both their boyfriends.
That'd be terrible.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. That's another cool thing about this, is that it's like it adds every like hardship, like hard storytelling, you know, in each character. Like you have characters who are dealing with depression, you have characters who are, you know, dealing with, you know, being gay and a Catholic
dealing with
family,
like health of like their family,
the health of family, and like drug abuse, and like all of that stuff is like happening around her. Once.
Like with him being gay, like the moment where like he's like crying.
That's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Especially if you consider too when this movie's taking place.
Yeah.
It's 2002.
So things are
He's
not
going to a
same.
Catholic school.
He's coming from a Catholic family.
He probably does not feel like he can be accepted at all for who he is, especially at that time. So those emotions are more felt, I think.
Yeah, it's such a heartbreaking scene. But like, I love that scene though, because it shows a lot more about who she is, and she's like really mad at him for like cheating on her, but then like she sees that he's like freaking out and that he's really going through something, and she's like, okay, you know what, I can be mad at you later.
I can be mad, but I'm gonna be your friend.
I'm gonna be your friend right now, because you need help. Like you're going through something
terrible. Experience.
So I think that was really sweet of her to just like completely drop being upset with him and just like let him like just start sobbing, and she's like, it's okay, like I'm not gonna say anything, like you don't have to worry. And I think that was really nice of her and very caring, and she didn't
definitely, especially because I think you see over the course of the movie, obviously with the new people that she meets and stuff, you see her kind of changing and evolving, but at the same time she's always who she is.
Yes, she still remains that like free-spirited sort of, I'm gonna do what I want to do, like I'm not gonna let anyone tell me otherwise. But I think with each person she meets, she takes a little bit, she experiences more and more.
There's more experiences from each, which is kind of like, I mean, that's kind of life, right? Especially in high school, like the people you meet kind of shape the experiences you have and how you learn certain things.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that
goes to the same thing.
Interesting to see.
And then even our boy Timothy.
Okay, so I want to talk a little more about this character, because
Kyle.
When I was like, I'm trying to think. I think when I first saw the movie, I was like, wow, he's so cool. Because, you know, skinny white boy, smoking a cig, reading a book in a coffee shop.
He's way cooler than I wish I was that cool.
When I was younger, I would have been like all over this guy. Yeah. But seeing the movie now, it's like, I just want, oh God, I just want to punch him in the face from the moment I see him.
At the same time, then you still remember when he mentions that his dad has cancer. And then I didn't even realize this the first time I saw it. When she's leaving the house, she sees her dad, and that, even as like much of a jerk that he looks, it still humanizes him a little bit, because he's going through something too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that justifies what he did. And it's like his actions are bad, but it's like even people like that, they're not just stereotypical like lying like boyfriend or whatever. It's like they're still have their own
human.
things.
They still have their own problems. Yeah, you're right.
Because
I still hate him.
And also too, I think it's his character that, like, once Lady Bird like meets these new people and kind of changes things and leaves her friend behind and stuff. I mean, really, his character is the one that brings her back. Well, he didn't mean to, but like, when they're in that car and she like realizes like,
I do want to go to prom.
Let me bring me my friend.
I'm done with you people.
Right.
Which I think was good. Good on her.
Because obviously, like, he definitely lied about being a virgin. And then he was just like,
the line, you're choosing to be upset. Oh my God, I think I wrote it down and you can see my handwriting is like, because like I just was like, no,
I know,
absolutely not.
I was like manipulative, like
I hate him so much.
The thing is, I think I saw this after Call Me by Your Name, so if this was my first time seeing him, I would have been like, I mean,
that was my first time seeing Timothy Chalamet. He was in this movie, and again, at the time, I was kind of like, he's a jerk, but he's kind of cute. But now it's just like, I see his face, and I just want to punch him. I don't know what it is.
Even in other movies, or just watching this movie?
It's slowly progressing into other movies. No. When I see his face, he makes me upset, and I don't know why. I don't think it's because of this movie. I think it's just his face. I think he just has a punchable face.
He definitely has like that hipster, like pretentious teenager look to him.
I think that's it. That might be it.
And I think it makes it more so because he plays. Since he looks like that, he plays what he looks like in this movie. And especially if this is the first time you saw him, I feel like in the back of your head, you're kind of thinking. Even though I'm so excited for Dune, by the way, I think he's gonna be great in that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna watch all the movies. I'm gonna watch. If you haven't seen Call Me by Your Name,
he's amazing in that, and Beautiful Boy too. He's
that was really
great in that one.
Yeah.
Wasn't even nominated. But yeah, I mean, obviously you know from the beginning, as soon as you see him at that band, that he's like a pretentious guy, and then she's like, "I saw your band." He's like, "Oh, La France."
Oh yeah, he's like, "Oh,
I'm like, okay, my God. I know people like. I've met people like you before, like, so you know where it's gonna go, you know?
Yeah, you absolutely see it coming, but like he's just so frustrating.
And then, you know, like you mentioned, Lady Bird's dad, like he has his own story, like he's lost his job, and then you find out he's been dealing with depression for a number of years, and then the fact that he still finds it difficult to get a job because of how old he is. Like obviously, like you see how these jobs are like looking to just hire younger people, and then to the fact that like his own son shows up to apply for the same job, and you would think like, oh, he might be bitter about it, or no, he's just like, no, you got this.
Like, and he's such a just like sweetheart. I know. He deserves so much. Like he is such a good person, and it's hard to see someone so good and continuously
like life fails him.
Yes, life fails him, and it's unfair, and it hurts to see that. And again, it just adds to that whole thing of the storytelling of it being so real.
Yeah.
Because there is really no happy ending to it.
Yeah.
To the whole movie, and I think for any of the characters, because they all just end abruptly, like how life is. You know, like we it's not like a conclusion.
Life's not like wrapped up in like.
Yeah, and a nice little bow, and then you move on. Like, each of these characters still had a lot to go through, and we don't get to see that, and I think that adds to the specialty of this movie.
And especially at the same time, like you were saying, because even him going through all that, the fact that he was able to still be so warm to, like, his son and his family, and Lady Bird in particular, like, he was the one that helped her with the financial aid for school, and, like, getting all that set up, like, supporting her through everything.
Yeah, he knew that the mom wasn't going to be very happy about her applying to East Coast schools, but he was like, but this is something that she wants, and she's my daughter, and I'm gonna
do what I can to help. Yeah.
So he's such a sweet person, and I hope that in the movie that we don't get to see of his life, it ends up going well for him.
I hope because so. I want to see Lady Bird 2 with him and Miguel and Shelley.
Yes.
I think Miguel and Shelley could be their own movie.
They really could. Again, every single character in this movie can have their own movie.
Yeah, I think so. The last character too that surprisingly kind of made an impression on me, which it did not at all the first time, was the priest. That was the music teacher.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. It didn't really make an impression the first time around, but the second time I was really paying attention. I was like, wow. Because
the first time you see him is that scene where he's like, "We're gonna try to first one to cry," and he's the one that cries, and you think, "Oh, it's just some funny like throwaway joke," but then you realize, then you find out.
Like he has like serious issues
like,
going on with his daughter.
Like his daughter overdosed, and then he's in the psych hospital, and like he's implying that there's suicidal thoughts there, and it's like, I think like it ties into. First, I think her mom being the nurse shows that her mom
is just
more than like
she is very kind. We just don't see it
always with her daughter.
We see her being kind when she's not with her daughter because it's not from her daughter's perspective anymore. Yeah. It's from an everyday person's perspective.
It's from a bigger than her life, and bigger than her main character.
Yes.
Perspective, which like Lady Bird, like with all these characters, like Lady Bird has her own issues, but she's never not even like it's her fault, but she doesn't have the perspective of all these other people like in her life that are going through really bad life issues, and it's like. Not to say that what she's going through isn't any less valid, but it's like there's bigger things at hand here than just you and your main character.
Yes,
energy,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And I feel like for her, that doesn't really click until the very end. For me, I felt when it clicked when she woke up in the hospital drunk. Yeah. And she saw the kid with the broken eye. And then she looked at it, she's like... Like she opened the hospital because she got drunk at a party, and this little kid just like broke his eye.
His eye. Can you break your eye?
I don't know, but
I don't think that's.
You have bones in your eyes.
Well, like around your eyes, but your eye itself isn't a bone.
but not the eye itself.
It's an organ.
But still, well, okay. Anyway, the kid had a problem with his eye area. Okay, so.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that is a good point of like where she kind of clicks for her. But yeah, I just like overall, I think the background characters are really special in this movie, and it's the attention to detail, and seeing it again really made me focus on those background characters.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about the friend too, because she's.
I have things to say about that whole arc too.
Yeah. So, Julie, I think was her name.
Yes.
Julie. Yeah.
Yeah. Beanie Feldstein, dude. She's awesome.
She's awesome.
She's great, and I liked her in this. But I think if you really want to see what she's capable of, Booksmart. She's so good in that
best. One. Yes, she's awesome. Yeah. She's a really good actress. She's very talented. I really like her.
Did not know she was Jonah Hill's sister.
Yeah, when I found out, I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was like, "I see it, I get it." Yeah, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I think she did.
Which is kind of cool that like Booksmart in her own way is kind of like her Superbad.
Yes,
which is pretty cool.
Yes, I think that's really funny.
But we're not talking about Booksmart today.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that in the future.
That would be a good one though.
Yes, we will talk about that one. But yeah, I really like her. I think she again, it's just her own background story going on, starting with like her little crush on the teacher that she has, which I get it. I don't. You remember.
I feel like it's more of a teenage girl thing than a guy thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like thinking back to high school memories.
Yeah, like I know. Okay, I know. I remember. I'm not gonna say anything, but yeah.
So we've all been there. Okay, well maybe we haven't all been there, but some of us have been there. So that was another aspect of the movie that was like I connected to, which I think is funny. It's like looking back, it's so it's cringy.
Do you think that eventually tied into anything with the plot? Because eventually, like, she meets the teacher's wife and she looks sad.
I think it was a lot of little things for her, because like at the end of the movie when she goes before prom, Lady Bird goes to like see her. Mm-hmm. She like walks in and she's just like sitting on the couch crying, and she's like, "Why are you crying?" And she's like, I'm just crying, and because I think there's so much little things that happen to her throughout the movie that we see, but we don't really pay attention to. Like from the fact that her friend's completely ditched her.
Right.
This school crush that she has.
So I'm sure like all that, like especially like you're saying with her friend not being there, her emotional support's like not there.
It's not there. She has no one to go to. She's clearly going through something. Like, it's some of it is insignificant. Some of it is, real stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think like all of that mixed together, and again there's like that cherry on top of not having your best friend there to like really talk to about it. Mm-hmm. And all of that is she's just an interesting character.
I think so, because I will say this was my biggest issue the first time I saw it, and it didn't bother me as much, but I was a little mixed about her ditching best friend thing, because I feel like we've seen that kind of cliche before. So I didn't really know how I felt about it, but I do think it is like a less melodramatic thing here. Like if this was another high school movie and it's like they would make it all dramatic and like, I mean they do have that part where they like yell at each other, but it is like not like crazy like explosion.
They don't drag it out.
No.
It's a whole lot.
It's a pretty like small part in the movie, but I also understood like how it tied into Lady Bird's character, like her kind of taking things for granted in a way, and like. I agree with you in that it's a cliche, it's a melodramatic thing, but again, I don't think it's handled that way though. I will say, like,
I don't think it's handled that way, but also I think that the situation itself isn't something that's like. It's such a cliche in movies because it does happen.
It's a very real thing. A very real thing that I'm sure many people as teenagers have gone through with their friends.
I mean, it wasn't as bad, but I went through something kind of similar to that in high school too, and it was rough. And so again, that's just another aspect of the movie that I felt made it more real.
Yeah,
I didn't really see it as something that's more melodramatic, but again, it aligned more with my story.
Yeah, I get it. Why. It didn't really bother me this time, but I think the first time that was kind of one of the things I was like, I wish I didn't know that needed to be there, but I also it is something that happens, so I get. And if you look at it, a lot of things that happen are cliches because so many teenagers go through similar things.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yeah.
honestly, like depicting in a movie just makes it more real. It doesn't make it any more
Yes, it's
fake or melodramatic.
It's the way that you have to handle the situation in movies that really sets it apart from like, is it going to be like this like cliche teenage movie, or is it going to actually portray what it's really like to be a teenager?
I think on top of that too, it's just the people that she leaves with. They're not the stereotypical like mean girl or like like even though you might think they are, but they're not. They're not depicted in a stereotypical way. They feel like human beings too.
Yes,
honestly.
Yes, I think I really agree with that. I think that they did a good job of portraying who those popular kids were in high school. Just like the pretty girl who, you know, is very vain, you know, but not in a way that's like super like, well, I'm better than you and I'm a cheerleader and like, you know, like it wasn't anything like that you would see in other movies. It was because like a little too real.
I feel like that's how Lady Bird kind of envisioned they would be, which is why she felt like she had to lie about where she lived.
Yeah, well, which in the end she did have to, because as soon as her friend found out, she used the excuse of like, well, I'm not friends with liars, but that wasn't it. It was that she was being classist and she was like, you're poor, ew. And that's really what went down. But she was smart about it and was able to like blame it on Lady Bird, like, well, you lied to me and I don't like liars.
I didn't really think of it that way. It's a true thing, I think. So
I think, you know, she's not a good person and I did not like her.
No, I didn't like them either, but I just like how they weren't like, they felt a little more realistic than they should have, definitely. Or not should have, but like how we normally see those characters. Like, honestly, when you think of stereotypical Mean Girl, and I mean this in the best way, I think of Mean Girls with Rachel McAdams. And it's in the best way. I love that character.
Yes.
But like, I feel like a lot of high school movies look at that and think that's what we need to do.
This is it.
This
is the model.
This is the model for high school Mean Girls. Like, you're not going to get that.
It's not. Yeah.
So, I just like that they kept a level of realism throughout, even though like... You have your cliches here and there, but they're cliches because they're real. They happen.
Because they actually happen. It's a cliche in real life.
Right. So you can't really fault the movie for that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of something I just took more away from the second viewing.
Yeah,
I did want to touch on real quick too. I thought it was very interesting, the 2002 setting of this, because once again, the first time, kind of just thought, oh, they wanted to set in 2002 just because. Yeah. But they do like play into the plot a little bit, but also like the details, just having they actually keep the detail 2002 going on. Like they reference 9/11 and like the political kind of landscape at the time. Like even there's that one line where she's like, what about terrorism? It's like, don't be a Republican.
Don't be a Republican. Yeah. Like, I really like that line.
And like, you know, they mention all that, you see that on the news and stuff. So I like how
throughout the movie, it's just like going on in the background. It adds again to the realism of the movie that she thinks she's the main character, but there's like actual things going on in the world at the time.
That too. Yeah. There's like, we just went through like one of the worst like attacks on my country like ever. And there's in 2002, I'm sure the country as a whole is still recovering from that. And then the war on terror starting overseas. And it's so like, that's all real life things going on. That perspective again, and like on the biggest scale. Yeah. You know, but that's also something too. Yeah. That's a good point. Like, so that definitely adds to that.
It adds to it. I think that's interesting. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Like the political environment of that time is definitely good.
Which is not just, this movie is not political at all.
No, not political.
But what I just mean is just like, I mean, even us now, there's always so much going on around us politically that
tired of living through history.
Yeah, there's just basically history is always happening around us, and it's the same thing for Lady Bird. And I just like that they added those details in there. Yeah. I think it made it feel much more real that that's always gonna go on in our lives.
Yeah. I want to talk more about because again, a big part of this movie is obviously the relationship between her and her mom. Yes. And I want to talk about a lot of like the similarities that I found with it. So there was that one scene with the shopping where they're like fighting 1 second and they're like, oh my god, it's perfect, like talking about the dress. Like there's that. It's the moment that after her scene with Timothée Chalamet, and she's like crying to her mom, and she's like, you want to do our favorite like activity? And the funny thing is that we used to do that a lot.
You would have like your own
we would go we would go to the model homes and like look around and stuff. She has an interior designer, my mom, so that makes sense that why we did that. But I always enjoyed going to those with her. Like it was always so fun to do that growing up. So like that was another little thing that was like connection there. And then I think what was really special about it was that she constantly complained about her mom. But the second anyone was like, yeah, she is too tough on you. And she's like, no, it's because she loves me.
Yeah.
So like, she's like, I can talk shit, but you can't.
Like,
don't you dare talk about my mother.
She's like, I think your mom's very, what do you say about her mom?
She's
scary.
She's
like,
but
no,
warm.
well, she's warm. She's like, you can't be scary and warm.
Yeah, and like, she's like, don't talk about my mother.
Don't like say that.
Yeah, which I would totally do. I will be like, oh, my mom is annoying. But if anyone agrees with me, I'm like, no.
Like,
no, don't you dare. Yeah, I guess I love my mom at the end of the day. She's a cool.
The love for your mom's always there.
It's always there.
For sure.
Sometimes I get jealous of my mom though, because I feel like all my friends think she's cooler than me because she is cooler than me. So that's an issue.
How can you get mad at them over a fact?
I know.
It's not even an opinion at that point.
It's just like, Mom, stop being cool. Can you please? Thanks, because you're.
Why didn't she rub off some of her coolness on you?
She kept it all to herself. That jerk.
Selfish.
Yeah. So that was. That was another thing. Oh, there was another moment, another fun story time. There was that one scene after her graduation, and her mom was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. You kind of walked funny across the stage, though." Literally the exact
she said the same thing.
Not on my graduation, but it was at like an NHS thing where I was like receiving an award or something. I like walked across the stage,
okay.
And I was like, I do walk kind of funny. But she was like, yeah, you walked kind of funny across the stage. I'm like, well, I can't help that. Which like, and then when I saw it in the movie, I was like, oh my God. That was another thing. That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, so there were so many moments in this movie that was like
just really felt real. Close to home.
Yeah.
Literally home, because you live with your mom at home.
Anyway, let's talk about that last scene.
Oh yeah,
where she's dropping her off. No, not the last scene, but the scene where getting close.
Basically,
to
the last one of the last emotional.
Yes, like the final act of the movie.
Yeah.
Where her mom is like dropping her off at the airport with her dad. The dad gets out and is like, "Oh, I'll take you," and she's like, "Well, I'm leaving now," and she's like, "Okay." And she is not going with her, and she's just being very stubborn, which you really see how much they are so alike in that they are so stubborn. They're just so strong.
It's two very strong personalities.
Two very strong personalities.
That's not always going to.
And that's click. Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing with me and my mom. Like we are both the exact same person, and we both have very strong personalities.
Yeah, so
and because of that, we butt heads.
Clash.
We clash all the time. And that's the biggest issue with Lady Bird and her mom, is that they're the exact same person, and you really see it in this scene where she's dropping her off, and she's like doesn't
really speak to her like that whole summer.
The whole summer she just stops talking to her, which is awful. Yeah. And that's just like it hurts me.
And it's like you understand where the emotion is coming from, but like that's not the way you
just like that whole point of the movie is just heartbreaking to see, because like it's like she's pleading with her mom. She's like, I know I'm selfish. Please just talk to me. Just talk to me. And she's like, I'd much rather have you yelling. If you hear the dog in the background,
yes,
apologize.
Honestly, I was listening to you and did not even acknowledge that there's a dog barking in the background.
But she's just, I don't know, like you see that where she's like pleading with her mom, and then it goes on to like her mom just like driving away, and she's like, I'm not even gonna say bye to her.
I know.
And then she's like, what did I just do? Like, this is my daughter. She is moving across the country. Why didn't I say goodbye to her?
And I just love how it like focuses on her face, so you see like her emotions shift from just kind of like she's like, still stubborn, but then it slowly shifts to like, oh God, like no, I need to
and she turns around, she goes,
and then she's already gone, and just like,
And the dad is just like, it's okay, she'll be back. Like, don't worry. And I'm just like, oh, it's so heartbreaking to see it, because it's just like, she's like, she regrets what she did, and the dad's like, don't feel bad, like, it's okay. And it's just like, oh, it's so sweet, the dad, but it's heartbreaking, and I think that whole scene is just like, wow.
Yeah, definitely. And then when she ends up in New York, like, she finally calls herself Christine, and I think it's when she moves away, I think that's when she starts like
realizing
more about her parents and her mom specifically, and like what she did. And then at the end, the ending, like when she calls them,
the whole phone call monologue, I think it's just like she's like thanking her, but also like apologizing to her.
And I just like how she doesn't. I noticed when I was looking this up online, I noticed how people were saying that when she calls her, she doesn't immediately start apologizing. She's like, do you remember when you drove around Sacramento for the first time? And like, just kind of thinking back to those kind of memories. And like, cause like, even when they edit it back to like her and her mom driving, it's just like, there's always that connection with them. And like,
and again, it shows finally mirrors how they're literally the same person.
And like, finally, I mean, she's forgiving her mom, I guess, but she's also finally forgiving herself. And I think that's when you see her actually, she's now in that transition from childhood to adulthood.
And she's finally realizing, okay, so maybe I'm not always the main character. Maybe it doesn't always have to be about me. And I do, like, I need to apologize to my mom.
I appreciate everything you guys did for me.
She finally really sees it now. Because when you're a kid, you're like, you see, like, okay, they're giving me all this stuff. They're doing nice things for me, but you don't really appreciate it.
The whole movie, I mean, really, the whole movie, she was taking them for granted.
The entire time.
And not just her friend, like...
Yes.
A lot of things.
Yeah, and like even that one scene where her friend like gets the main spot in the show, and she's like, I don't even know how I got it. She's like, I don't know how you got it either. And it's like, Jesus, that's be like, at least pretend to be supportive. Right? Jeez, like that's horrible. She's just so selfish, and then like by the end of it, you really see her like
let go of that
full circle and. Well, not even a full circle, like a semicircle, because you don't get to see the rest.
Like a 180. Yeah.
She gets halfway there, and you begin to see her transition into a better person. And you just kind of leave the rest to the imagination to hope that she did.
Just hope it, which I believe that she did.
Yeah, sure. I think so.
Which is like really more refreshing, because obviously with all that stuff with her mom and her. But even that one scene when they go back to the thrift store and she's trying on that dress, and she's like saying how like she doesn't feel like her mom
doesn't like her
for who she is. She's like, I just want you to be the best person you can be. Like, what if this is my best? And her mom just kind of doesn't really say anything.
And I think part of that, if you really like dive deep into it, it's the mom not even being happy with herself, because like I said, they're the same person. I think the mom sees so much of herself in her, but also doesn't want to admit that she is literally the same person. And I think she's unhappy with where she is in life, and because of that, she sees that with Lady Bird, she's very much like, okay, this is my life, like this is who I am, this is the best version of me. And the mom's like, no, I want you to be more, because I wasn't more.
And I think she sees that her son Miguel wasn't more like the way she wanted. Like, he went to Berkeley and now he's working at a grocery store. And you're like, she probably wanted more from him too, even though he's content right now, at least. Where like, he's not saying he's like that's where he wants to be, but like that's where he is now. Like, that's, and even you could tell it doesn't feel good about that. She's like, your brother's in a grocery store, and he like, so I think that all factors into that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's just really interesting, that whole scene there. There was one other scene I wanted to talk about, and I definitely forgot what it was.
Did you note it?
I didn't, and it came to me right now.
Do you remember who was in the scene?
It was a scene that had characters.
Okay, that's a start.
There was a thing that happened, and things were said.
Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
I did. I had some quick final things I wanted to say. I love the editing of this movie, because everything was fast paced and it cut through all the BS, but it never felt rushed, and it never felt like it was missing anything important. You know, like I like how scenes would set up something important that's going to happen, and it would just cut to those important. Like, it would skip over like moments in time, but they never left out anything that actually matters throughout like your senior year of high school.
Yes.
You know, and it's like about an hour and a half. It's not a long movie at all, but it packs in just about everything that you need to cover throughout a senior life during that year.
Yes.
You know?
I agree. I think the terms of pacing, she did a really good job there.
Yeah.
I remember.
Awesome.
What I was going to say. That one scene where she was talking to the nun about her college essay that she wrote, which she's like, you really show how much you love Sacramento. And the whole movie, she's like, I hate Sacramento. I want to get out of here. And she's like, well, it's your attention to detail about it, which shows me that you love it. And I think that is a perfect analogy of like how her relationship is with her mother. It's that like she's not the type of mother that's gonna be like, oh, let me hug you every day, let me tell you how much I love you. She's not that mother. She's the mother that's like, she's gonna pay attention to every single detail, which means that she's gonna criticize you a lot, she's gonna critique you a lot. I get that, because again, that's the relationship with my mother, but it's that attention to detail that shows how much that she really loves her daughter. And I'm glad that I liked that scene that where she talks about it with the essay.
And I think it just thinks, like you say, like in her mind, she's like, I hate Sacramento. But then another person's perspective who doesn't really know what's going on in her life is like, well, based on what you were like, it seems like you love it here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
she doesn't realize.
I find really interesting just the idea of like different perspectives, especially like we've been saying, like Lady Bird, this whole movie's kind of throw her perspective and how she sees things. But it's like, maybe she needs to step away from her own perspective even sometimes like that.
And see the bigger picture of it all. Yeah.
I also thought there was just a lot of little moments of humor that I thought were really funny that I really liked. The breakfast thing you mentioned I thought was great. When she's describing her name at that audition, she's like Lady Bird, and he's like, yeah, it's a name, it's given to me by me. I'm like, I love the energy in that.
Yes.
When she's arguing with her friend and she's like talking about her mom's like boob job or something, she was like, it was one bad decision, it was two bad decisions.
That was really funny.
The pro-life assembly I thought was an interesting little moment.
Interesting for sure.
The line she said was just like,
just because it's ugly doesn't
like
mean it's a mistake or something.
Yeah. And then she's like, well, if your mom had gone ahead, like we wouldn't be having this assembly today or something.
She's like, what?
And then honestly, the moment that I thought was so funny that I don't even remember from the first time was when the football coach took over the musical.
And
he's like, he's like, everybody take a knee.
Yeah. And he's like going on the
and he's like drawing up.
He's like, all right, actor one is gonna come forward.
Drawing the choreography like a play.
Yeah.
And then he was like talking about write down your playbook.
And they're all like struggling to write it all down because they're just going so fast.
But then even like when they perform the musical, like he's like
at the end,
and
he's just like yes. That was
I love
great.
that guy.
Yeah, overall, I loved that character and his storyline.
But I think just the fact that every character got their own moment to shine and be realistic in this world, it made it feel so human and natural, and that's it's something I really loved about this movie. So
yes, I agree.
So any final thoughts for you?
Do I have any final thoughts? Let me see.
Make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it. I relate so much to this movie throughout a lot of it. It's not my exact same storyline. There's a lot of things that she went through that I don't think I went through, but I think overall, like in terms of like her relationship with like her mother and just like the awkwardness and the highs and lows of being a teenager, like I understood it all. And I think that's just why I love it so much. Like the first time around watching it, I was in the moment and I saw it happening in my life and then happening on screen. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And now I'm looking back on like my memories of like what high school was for me. And I'm really seeing like how much it still holds up and it's so similar to like, what I went through. And seeing it now with like a fresh pair of eyes, it's like, wow. Definitely.
Especially you saw it. Well, we both saw it in our senior year of high school. So now watching it, going to basically what is our senior years of college.
Yes.
It's a totally new perspective that we're watching this from.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that now that we're not in that point in our lives anymore and like I mean, I think the movie evokes sort of a nostalgic feeling.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think for me at least, it kind of brought me back to the nostalgia of senior year in a way. And now that you're kind of away from that, I think it's a new perspective you're watching it from.
Yes.
So
I definitely agree.
That made it for a more unique experience for me too, watching it again.
Yeah.
quick little things I want to say. The music in this movie I thought was actually really good too.
Yes.
Very subtle throughout, but when it hits in those emotional moments, it's like really good. And I was gonna say something about nostalgia, and I mentioned that already. So that's it for me. So did you want to go ahead and rate Lady Bird?
Yes. So again, I love this movie. I loved it when it first came out, and I still love it now. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that your highest score so far?
No, I give Knives Out a 9 out of 10.
No, you said 8.5 actually. I remember.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, I give something a 9 out of 10.
You gave 8th grade a 9 out of 10.
Did I?
Yes.
Then that was it.
Do you want to change Knives Out from 8.5? You want to round it up?
I don't know. I
don't
have
matter.
them here.
Who cares?
No. Oh, it was 8th grade. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was
Either way, we've watched plenty of great ones. This is definitely one of them for me. Right now, off my second viewing, this is an 8 out of 10 for me. But I can definitely see this going up to a 9 the more I watch it, because it definitely hit me a lot more than the first time. The first time I was like, I like it. I thought it was a little overrated at the time, to be honest. But I get it. I think seeing it now with this perspective, I definitely really like it a lot more. And so 8 out of 10 for me for Lady Bird.
all right.
So that concludes it for today's episode.
This is it.
That was a great discussion.
Yes.
Love that. And our next discussion, our next movie, do you know it? Go bring up my screen.
Did we even talk about it?
We did a while ago. You're going to remember. I'll mention why we picked it okay, I'll just say it. Our next movie is going to be A Quiet Place.
Oh, yeah. I remember now.
So we chose A Quiet Place because next week, A Quiet Place Part 2 is finally coming out. So excited to see. We were going to see it together, but schedules didn't align.
Got a little busy. There still might be a chance we might be able to
We'll see.
We'll see.
We have all summer to definitely like see things together.
Yes.
There's a lot coming out, and hopefully, with things looking better with coronavirus, I'm hopeful that we don't get a lot more delays. But I'm just really glad it's coming out, because I've been excited for this movie
really excited for it too.
so long.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk about why with the first one next week. So if you have not seen A Quiet Place, it is streaming on FX now. Okay. So I'm pretty sure if you have like any sort of cable subscription, you should have access to that.
All right, cool. Very excited for that.
Yes, cannot wait. So, thank you all so much for watching, listening. We are on every single audio streaming platform, so wherever you listen to music or your podcasts, we're right there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those types of places. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share the videos. Just look us up at In a Wider Screen Podcast. You'll find us right there. With our crazy little thumbnails that makes for us. So thank you for that. And then definitely make sure to follow us on Twitter. I meant to say Twitter and TikTok at the same time. And it turned into
TikTok.
Twitter.
Yep.
Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. All at In a Wider Screen. Definitely engage with us there. Follow us. Do all that stuff. And
post updates on when we have our
episodes. We're posting updates on our episodes.
Sometimes it's a little late because I forget. And then he has to do it for me because I forget.
Yeah, we're not perfect with it, but
we're getting better.
We're slowly getting better, and we're getting closer to our 10th episode, which is pretty
fun. We got to figure out like the fun.
We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for that.
Yes, because we made it 10 episodes, and I think after that we should just retire.
I think we should retire while we're while we're on top.
While we're ahead, yeah.
Right, exactly. No, but like I said, thank you
Thanks for watching. Thank you for listening in. Hope you enjoyed this episode of In a Wider Screen. Again, if you have any movie recommendations, let us know.
Let us know, for sure.
We're always looking for more.
Yes.
But yeah, that is all for today.
Bye.